And we are live. Correction territory. That's what we're looking at here. So let's talk about this. We're going to go macro technicals, a little bit of fundamentals. Stay tuned. Let's get it. What up, Doifer? Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is. We're almost market close in about 1 minute. Let's take a look at what we got here. What do we got going on? So I know it feels red. I know it feels pretty bloody today, but pretty much just a normal correction, 2%, 2 or 3%. And I think the question here is, can it get worse? How much worse can it actually get? We're down 2.5%. I think we can go 5. So let's do a little bit of technicals using the Fibonacci, right? Hold on, let me turn this camera. There we go. Using Fibonacci. What up, Kent? I think that's Kent. I can see you. Using Fibonacci retracement from the previous low. Okay, so we're taking the previous S&P low, which is pretty much right in line with that anchored VWAP. Okay, let's do. Okay, so here's our low from, what was this? April, our April low, right? We take the anchored VWAP, volume weighted average from here, and last time we had a pretty good support right about here. Okay, we're still in the bull market, still going higher. The question is, how far is the correction? How deep does it actually get? Is there anything systemic we need to worry about, or is it just an overposition market from big tech, right? Overposition, rotation into small caps, into interest rate sensitive names. I think that's what we're looking at here. So we take that Fibonacci from the previous retracement, from the previous pullback, and that gives us a correction around 5,500, 5,500, somewhere around here, right? We're looking at SPX at the moment. And I think you just got to think about, we're heading into earnings season. So we're probably getting a pre-earnings sell-off, right into earnings. Sometimes you bid up into earnings, sometimes you correct into earnings. I think we're correcting into the earnings season. We'll really know how things play out when we get Tesla, Netflix, I believe next week. We start to get the big tech earnings, right? You always want to look at big tech earnings. I'm sure they're going to be great. It really comes down to those small caps. So I'm thinking 5,400. Let's go to SPY. Okay, let's go to SPY. Also, and I got 3 anchored VWAPs from the very low, from the last low, and it looks like we're going to be coming down to 50, 550 is where we kind of touched today, but maybe we get down to 545. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I like to look at also the oversold. I like to see, are we overheated? We got pretty overheated. We're oversold for a couple months here. We made about 3 pushes into oversold territory, and we talked about this last week. We said, look, we're going to get a correction at some point. We might move higher, and then we're going to get a correction because we're just too over positioned, right? Active managers are over positioned. Now we're starting to get that correction here. All right. So I'm expecting us to either bounce here like we did last time. We bounced at this midpoint on the RSI, right? Relative strength index right in the middle. We're in cooling territory. We either bounce in cooling territory or we roll over further. I'd give it a 50-50. Who knows? We might come all the way back down. If we get down here, great opportunity, great buying opportunity. Earnings are going to be great. We have a good macro outlook looking forward, right? Industrial production is picking up. We're going to go over that too in a second. So as of now, we're looking at the rotation. So the Qs are getting smacked a lot worse than the S&P. I think the S&P pretty much, catch down today, but the Qs got smacked pretty hard. Qs are down. S&P is 2.5. Qs are down 5%. So the Qs are down, double what the S&P is down, right? And I think it's just over positioning. Apple, Amazon, Microsoft. They're Nvidia, the chips, you got the tariffs from Trump just speaking about hitting tariffs on China. That's going to bring down chip demand. That's going to crush a little bit of the earnings. So they all came down, but it's all word of mouth, right? These are not put in place yet. Overbought or oversold. CUNY says overbought or oversold. We're in the midpoint. It depends on what time frame you're looking at. If you're looking on the daily time frame, we're heading towards oversold territory. We're heading towards the overcooling, right? Overcooling area down here. And this is going to be a great opportunity to get long a swing trade, maybe the next 3 months into the back half of the year if we get down here. But if you're looking on the, in the short term, we're pretty much oversold. We're pretty oversold. I sold some, some put credit spreads here on the Qs because we're oversold. You can see the 30-minute. We came down yesterday. We oversold. We got a little overcooled, right? Frozen territory, bounced. Didn't really make any progress. Came back down again today. But we have that double bottom intraday, right? And I am looking at the Qs here because I think this is where I'm taking the opportunity. So we got a double bottom here on the Qs at 476 and a half. 476 and a half. We go to the 30-minute chart. We're coming out of that overcooled, oversold territory, starting to bounce up. I think we bounce either tomorrow, Friday, and I think there's some options expiring. So either tomorrow or Monday, one of these days we're going to bounce. Now, you might be playing this for 1 or 2 days, but I don't think we're in the clear yet. I think we might have further downside, right? Further downside, taking the anchored VWAP from the initial sell-off, right, from the first dump. We're still below that anchored VWAP. We're still in bearish territory. We're still trending lower. We couldn't get above this level. We called this out on Twitter. We had pretty much you can see here, we pretty much had a reverse or head and shoulders right here. Head and shoulders, boom. 1, 2. Oh, you guys can't see it. Head and shoulders, 1, 2. And then this push right here was pretty much the breaking point. We broke down. Okay, these are the Qs. We're looking at the Qs at the moment. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anything. We're doing a little bit of TA though. We're gonna do a little bit of technical analysis. We'll go over the macro. This is a tricky territory because it feels so painful at first. Is there a big rotation? We're gonna talk about small caps. Look, there is a bull market. There is a bull market somewhere. We're gonna get to that. I'm gonna show you. Either way, the Qs are pretty weak. I'm waiting for the retest of 490. If we cannot get above 490, right, over the next maybe week going into big tech earnings, if we can't get above 490, I'm going to stay short. I'm going to stay short on the Qs. We got CUNY saying, so on the daily or monthly, I saw you pointing at weeks up to April. Okay. Well, what I was talking about when I talked about April, I was saying that April, right? April was the last time we had a correction. Right? Hold on. The big correction was in April. Yeah. The last time we had a huge correction was in April. This was a baby correction. So we're taking the anchored VWAP from, April, and that's probably the low that we roll into if we really get some downside during earnings season. Okay. During earnings season, we might get some downside. We might get a reset. A lot of big tech stocks were just over-owned, right? A lot of concentration in those areas. Here's a gap to fill right here. We'll see how it reacts to that. A lot of concentration there. We need the RSI to reset more than anything. We need this RSI to reset, and it's in the cooling area, but we need a reset. We definitely need a reset. There's not all negative news here. Okay. So we're waiting on that. In the meantime, and I'll go over some of these, right? Obviously, small caps absolutely ripped higher, right? Small caps ripped a lot higher. And doing the Fibonacci from the bottom of small caps, right? From the initial breakout, we have the golden pocket or the retracement zone around 215. So my expectations, we bounce around 215, and we'll see if we can move higher on the small caps. Now, small caps, a lot of people are bullish. They're very bullish on small caps. Volatility is starting to rise again. We finally have the VIX above 15. And that's, so there's a lot of fear in the market. VIX is finally above 15. That was the biggest move we've seen since what? Since April, May? Yeah, since about April, May. So May is the last time we had the VIX this high. A lot of options people will sell this move. They're going to sell this move. They're going to sell puts and collect premium because your premiums on options are spiking. The VIX takes the premium a lot higher, right? So I don't think this is, drastic. I just think the Qs are really need to breathe a little bit, right? Small caps are there. The Dow, on the other hand, is just like the small caps. There's a clear rotation into Dow, clear rotation into small caps. And we're going to look at some names. I think the main purpose today, we want to see where the bull market is. We're going to go into that, where the bull market actually is. And I see a huge rotation into industrials. Industrials, materials, anything real estate. We'll go to real estate first because real estate is starting to rip. Real estate stocks are starting to rip. Home builders are starting to rip a little bit. That's too optimistic. Tell me what your let me see. I got a month-long calls on QQQ for 550. Oh, I see the 550 calls for Qs. I would say it's a little early. If you're going 30 days out, I think it's a little early for 550 calls. I would wait for the RSI to actually reset. I see you. I'd wait for this RSI to start to reset down here. I think if you're talking about 550 on the Qs, that might be like more of a year-end target at this point. More of a year-end target. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. That's a year-end target. We need to see the bounce first. We need to get the Qs to bounce before we go that high. So CUNY, yeah, wait for we really want to see the RSI start to reset. Okay, you want to see a bounce, clear, support off of one of these levels. Maybe we come down here in the Qs. Who knows? And we're going to get into that real quick. Jervine, we will see more volatile conditions as we head into election, especially with major shifts in foreign policy happening. Yeah, 100%. That's why I want to see. I'm still short. I'm still short the Qs. I covered my short, my 520 short. I covered that after these couple days. I want to see a bounce, and I'll probably short again. But I'm waiting. I'm in wait mode. Now, on the other hand, okay, we are seeing, check this out, home builders. Now, I want to explain this really quick. Interest rates just fell to their lowest level. So there is a bull market somewhere. There is a bull market somewhere. And the bull market is in interest rate sensitive names. Okay. I think they're a little overheated at the moment because they pushed up so quickly. Right. And as an example, we can see a lot of the flows. If you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. But we see the flows go out of Qs. Right. This was literally on CPI day. The flows went into small caps and construction, industrials came right out of the queue. So we had the biggest inflow in small caps that we've had in a while. These are US home construction names. Why are they blowing up? And the Qs are selling off simply because they're expecting interest rates to get cut in September. Right now, the market is pricing in September interest rate cuts. What does that mean? Home builders, real estate. Well, they're going to build more supply, right? Their operational costs will be coming down, right? Their debt, they're always using debt. Their cost of debt will come down. They'll be able to leverage a little more. And they've been hated for a while, right? The names have been down. So you're seeing that big push. This is ITB, bull market here in housing, in real estate. This is, what is this? Realty Income Corporation, big move to the upside. So really, I just want to show you, and we keep our eye on the RSI. They're a little overheated. I'm going to go to the weekly chart though. These names are starting to push. Okay. Yes, the Qs are weak, but these names are starting to push. I don't know what the best charts are. We're going to go through some of them. See if we can get any good charts here. This one looks pretty good. Extra space storage. Okay. Either way, I like Caterpillar. We talked about Caterpillar the other day. This is an industrial name, and it's still, you can see the RSI is heating up. So as we heat up here, as the RSI heats up, this is pretty bullish. Now, there's going to be a pullback in the short term, waiting for the reset. But, Caterpillar is also in China, and China always starts to stimulate in the second half of the year. We have a couple of charts to show you that. You can see here in pink over here on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. This is the Bank of China's balance sheet, right? This is their central bank, and their central bank typically over the past 4 or 5 years, they print money, they start buying more assets, they flood the market, they create more liquidity in the second half of the year, in the back half of the year. So we're expecting that move that should move crypto, Bitcoin higher. And if there's construction being built in China, I expect Caterpillar to perform. So Caterpillar is doing pretty good. Also, Deere Company, another one of those industrial stocks, had a nice push here, right off the lows. It's not in the clear yet. It's not breaking out yet, but they are starting to move higher. Redfin, another real estate company, pretty much in real estate, anything industrial, manufacturing, moving higher. So this thing is over. This thing kind of is overheated a while. It overheated a little bit, right? So this was overheated, but there is a bull market somewhere. It's just not in tech at the moment. The bull market is definitely not in tech. Reset to what level and what time frame? So, there's a bunch of stocks here that we can look at for the home builders. Okay, you got NVR. I don't even know what they do. These are all stocks that are going to be in the space where interest they're looking for interest rates. This thing is exploding, new highs, right? I want to see the RSI reset and come back down. I want to see that reset and probably come to another level. So if we want to really get like Home Depot, same thing. Home Depot also starting to break out, moving above the level. This level is a lot more clear for Home Depot. A lot more clear for Home Depot, right? The previous high, somewhere around 357, 360. You want to see it come down here. Now, this is all given that the Fed does actually cut rates, right? This is all if the Fed actually cuts rates, which they're very likely to cut rates. I want to see this come down and cool off a little bit. It's pretty hot. It's been trending higher and then move higher. If you're looking at Home Depot, people are starting to buy. They're getting ready for the cuts, right? We saw the lowest the lowest interest rates, 30-year mortgage rates since what? January? Probably we had a big fall in rates. We've been talking about rates coming down because a lot of the data is weak, inflation is coming down. And so that's why a lot of these names are starting to move. So if we go to look at the 10-year, let's go look at the 10-year rates really quick. Actually, these are not 10-year rates. These are some of the names I'm looking at also. Oh, oil also. We'll talk about oil because if this comes down, I think the bull market's going to be pretty vicious. Inflation's going to drop like a rock. Either way, we've had rates fall to the lowest level since I think this was April, right? April, March. This was a pretty low level. So 3-month low in interest rates, in bond rates. And instead of big tech bidding higher off this, right? Because there's other things. Big tech is over owned at the moment. It's overbought, right? Now the big tech starting to cool. Meta looks good. Amazon looks good. Some of them are a little still overheated, but Meta and Amazon look good. But these lower rates are helping out small caps, industrials, manufacturing stocks. And looking at our macro data, okay, we did have industrial production. This is industrial production. It's not retail sales. I got the wrong title on there. Industrial production is finally starting to move up. This is a demand for goods. So we're seeing goods demand pick up, right? In the macro data, a lot of people don't see it, but industrial production on a year-over-year basis, you want to look at that indicator. It's a leading indicator for the goods and manufacturing sector. And it's starting to turn back up. It hasn't been up for a while. That turn up tells me there is demand in the market to build. It's probably mostly construction and building, right? And so you're seeing a lot of that happen in the market. The dollar, almost thought this was going to break through. This is the sign for crypto. This is the crypto sign. When the dollar leaks through and starts to make its way back down, crypto's going to rip. I'm telling you right now, crypto is going to rip when the dollar finally starts to roll over. But you can see the RSI starting to reset to the upside. So we might have a little more time to go, right? Crypto usually moves higher going into I think it's September. September is like the prime time, not just because of the date, but you're coming around election season. The more Trump, the further Trump leads in the polls, the more likely crypto is going to bid up into pro regulation. Okay. So I think crypto's still a great play for the end of the year. It's taken a while, as always, but when it rips, right? Now let's go. So we know interest rates are down. The dollar's starting to roll over. This is a risk asset play. This is a play on risk assets. And big tech is starting to reset at the moment. Okay, in-play stocks. These are the in-play stocks I was looking at. Walmart looks like a short. Just FYI, I want to get short a couple stocks as we start to weaken here. Walmart has, just a pattern's been straight up, but you can see the buying pressure is coming down. And if it flattens out during earnings or going into earnings, I'm short on Walmart. That's just to throw it out there. Meta still strong. They're gonna crush earnings. Meta's gonna crush earnings. And now you see the RSI has reset. It overcooled. It's starting to pick up. I would give it a little more time. Either way, Meta is starting to overcool. So I'm expecting halfway through earnings season, some of these tech stocks go right back to all-time highs. Meta hasn't overheated at all. It's been consolidating in this zone for a while. It hasn't really ripped higher the way Apple has. Apple's pretty overheated. Apple is is pricing in a really good earnings report. Meta is not. Meta is not yet. Neither is Amazon. Okay, where's Amazon? Amazon also reset, and this was a perfect move for Amazon because it did break all-time highs, came right back down, and it's starting to overcool, right? Still needs time. You need to wait on this. You need to be patient with Amazon. Either way, Amazon is overcool. So by the time we're in mid-earning season, I'm expecting Amazon to rip back up. It's not ready yet, but it is starting to turn up. Let me get some comments right here. Do you think SPX can go higher? It depends on the time frame, Yassine. Depends on the time frame that we're looking at. In the short term, I think SPX needs to reset. I'm looking at the daily RSI here. I want to see it reset. I wouldn't be getting long. Day trading is different, but I wouldn't be getting long SPX. See what the weekly looks like. The weekly is also resetting. Now this could bounce here and go sideways, so we don't know yet. But it looks like the summertime rally is coming to an end, right? The summertime rally is coming to an end. We have a lot of volatility. Volatility can be good to the upside or the downside, but there's a lot of uncertainty. The Fed needs to hike rates. The Fed needs to cut rates for much of the market to continue higher. Okay, they need to cut rates. But for the most part, I think SPX, you can think about getting long around 5,500. If you're looking at SPX, a lot of people are looking at SPY, but I think you can start to think about it around this level. And this will, if we get here on SPX, if we get to 5,500, I don't think the RSI and the daily will reset to the bottom. But the weekly, you can always stay higher on the weekly for a while. We can stay on the weekly RSI and just keep bouncing, right, for a while. That's very possible. So I don't know yet. I wouldn't make any calls yet, but definitely for the Qs, I think the Qs have more downside. I think the Qs have more downside. I think they pop up. I want to see the rejection at 490. If we get above it, then maybe we're bullish. But for now, as long as you're beneath that 490 level where it try to find support on the initial sell-off, I'm short the Qs. I think the Qs will reset because you have Apple way too overextended. Apple's barely coming down, needs to cool off, right? It's been overextended for a while and needs to cool off. I think Microsoft looks the same. Okay, all those look the same. AMD really reset on us. Okay, this was unexpected. This thing really reset. Now the opportunity is looking even better, especially going into earnings. The tariff thing is has me a little pessimistic. Who knows what happens with the tariffs? If the market keeps pricing in chip makers not able to, increase their revenues overseas. Is WBA a value play? WBA. See what that is. Walgreens. I wouldn't touch Walgreens with the 10-foot pole. I would not touch Walgreens with the 10-foot pole anytime soon. That's just my view. It's getting absolutely crushed. The business model. I know people really want these. When you get a stock oversold, if you're bullish, it needs to be in an uptrend. This has been in a downtrend for a while. It's not going to just make a big move higher over the next 3 months. It has to be in an uptrend. For example, we'll go to let's take a look at Constellation Energy. Okay, this thing got crushed. Constellation Energy got crushed. And I expect the earnings to be great. I'm waiting for this to reset. It almost reset today. The RSI almost reset. This is a utilities company. It is the hottest utilities stock in the market over the past 6 months. And big capitulation there. Earnings should be great. All the big tech, Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, every AI company needs data centers, right? So they're paying a lot of energy for data centers, and Constellation Brand is supporting that energy. So their revenues are going to be pretty good. In my view, they bid up a little too much, too quickly. And I think they're going to rebound here. I think they'll rebound here going into earnings season. I expect the earnings to be pretty good. It's pretty tough to think about, does it bid up before or after earnings? Who knows? We don't know that, right? It depends how you play it. Either way, this is a good pick. This is in an uptrend. It pulled back in an uptrend. There's an opportunity here. right? Versus Walgreens is in a downtrend. I wouldn't trust it at all. It's more than likely heading lower. It's more than likely heading lower. I wouldn't mess with Walgreens at all. Here's another energy play. We have energy up. So like, just so you guys know, the energy ETF XLE, this kind of tells you what's moving up. XLE is moving higher. You know, oil prices are up. I think we are at peak demand, but either way, some of these names can still go higher. So energy is up at the moment. So I want to look at what is the best trending energy stock. And I think it's ConocoPhillips. There could be another one, but ConocoPhillips looks pretty good. It's still in the trend, still trending higher, right? Still got the uptrend, ConocoPhillips. And there's an obvious bid. You can see the RSI has been heating up. So it's not overheated yet, but it's heading there. It's heading there, and it's starting to clear previous resistance. Starting to clear that previous resistance right here. So this one is in play. I would say that ConocoPhillips is in play. How high does it go? I don't know. Let's check. Let's see what the Fibonacci might tell us. If we take that previous high, pull it down, we could be heading for 125, maybe 125 at the highest. So ConocoPhillips, and it could go right back to the top for sure, but ConocoPhillips is in play. Another one, Freeport-McMoRan. Now this one is a mining stock, right? Materials, they're mining copper. They're mining a lot of copper. There's going to be a lot of copper needed for the AI transition because of all the data centers and the conduction of electricity. You need a lot of copper. So they're mining a lot of copper. This is probably the best play other than Newmont, NEM. Newmont's in an uptrend. This one's going to look good when it resets. It needs to reset. And this is another play on the industrial base moving higher. Basically, the industrial economy is picking up. We saw that with industrial production the other day. Retail sales are still kind of subdued, right? Retail sales are weak, but the industrials, the corporations that are building, they're moving higher because the business cycle is still picking up. Now that we're looking at rates being cut. So if you cut interest rates, they're going to expand production. They're going to hire more people, and they're going to produce more goods and services, whatever they do. So the industrial economy is starting to pick up. We're starting to see consumer stocks, not really perform. WGA. Did I put that in wrong? WGA. I don't know what that is. Western Global. No, that's not Walgreens. Also, I'll take a look at TLT. Okay. This is the bond market. Bond market's always kind of weird, but either way, the bond market should rip as the Fed goes into cutting rates. I would look into October. I personally, not financial advice, I have some October calls for TLT just in case unemployment rips higher, because unemployment is now, it's a lagging indicator. So whatever we get next month, or whatever we get at the end of this month, or I think it's going to be August, that's going to be lagging data. Unemployment, as it climbs higher, bonds will climb up because bonds are correlated to weaker inflation and a weaker growth. It's a fixed income play. So I'm looking at bonds also, which is separate than the stock market, but I'm looking at bonds. Bonds are going to go higher as growth continues to weaken, right? What else we got up here? Caterpillar. Yeah, Caterpillar exploded. Then it came down. So this was a big move. We talked about this, I think, last week. Caterpillar. It was down here, started to climb, made the big move out of that trade. I'm waiting for it to reset. Okay, see, it came way up here. This is like the sweet spot. This is a sweet spot when a stock bottoms on the RSI starts to pick up, and it's on the trend. This is a sweet spot. Boom, moves higher. Right now, it needs to cool off. It can go much higher. Don't get me wrong, but we are heading into earnings season, so I wouldn't get too excited on that one. We also have crypto. Oh, Tesla. Tesla's cooling off. Tesla looks weak at the moment. Tesla looks pretty weak at the moment. It's going to come down to earnings. We got earnings here on July 23rd. This is next week already. So I would just stay patient with Tesla. It is forming a dragon wedge. So this is a very powerful pattern, but it's going to come down to, is the Fed going to cut rates, which helps the auto industry because it helps with borrowing and people will be able to finance Teslas right? So this is a good setup technically, but we're a little overheated. I still want to see this cool off a little bit. And we want to see what those earnings look like. We want to see the earnings look like. But for the most part, Tesla is breaking the long-term trend. And when it rips, it's going to rip. September rate cuts. That's what we're looking at. September rate cuts. That's what the market is anticipating at the moment. That's why we see small caps moving higher. KMI. What is this? Kinder Morgan. What do they do? Industrial. Okay, here we go. This is another industrial name that's overheating. It's a little overheated, but it could have some more room. Let it consolidate a little bit. This is part of the production process of the of the manufacturing economy. And if rate cuts are coming, then these stocks can go higher. They're also anticipating a Trump win. You got to put that in there. I know people are saying political volatility, sure, but I would say the volatility is going to be more likely to push stocks to the upside because Trump is planning on doing a 15% corporate tax cut. 15%. That is going to increase corporate revenues tremendously. What happens when the revenues increase? They increase, they start to expand, they borrow more money. And if rates are lower by this time, then their cost of capital is not only lower, but they can borrow more. They're going to leverage even more. So a lot of these companies, that's why they're bidding up early. They're pricing in a Trump win and they're pricing in rate cuts. Pretty clear. Pretty clear there. KB Homes, KBH, I believe. Also, another home builder, right? This is a home builder. Home builders are exploding because interest rates are falling. Mortgage rates have finally, came down pretty dramatically, and you're anticipating a Fed rate cut, so they're going up also. Microsoft. My guess is Microsoft needs to. Let me see what this is. KGS. I have no clue what this is. Kodiak Gas Services. I bet you this is a small cap, but it is in an uptrend. Looks pretty good. It should probably do well. Just keep in mind that a Trump win also means lower oil prices. It's not necessarily great for the revenues of it's not really great for revenues when it comes to oil and gas companies. It's not great for them because they're going to increase the supply, so prices are going to come down. They got to compete a lot more. So I don't know if I'd go with some small cap when it comes to this. I would stick with ExxonMobil, maybe CVX. Let's see what CVX looks like. Chevron. I would probably stick with Chevron, but it's still benefiting from lower interest rates. Now Chevron is heating up. Chevron's still heating up. This might be a breakout for Chevron. Who knows? I'm not really interested in Chevron, but it is breaking out. The stock I'm looking at right now when it comes to oil and gas is ConocoPhillips. I like the trend. I like the momentum. But yeah, Chevron looks pretty good also. You said Microsoft, MSFT. My guess is Microsoft needs to reset. It is starting to reset. Be patient. Wait for it to find some consolidation, to find a base. Let's see where it's at with the okay, so it's pulling into that 50-day moving average. No momentum yet. Microsoft needs a cool out. Best case scenario, Microsoft comes lower. Comes a lot lower. And I saw you put NG looks good. NG is what? Natural gas. Everybody's looking at natural gas. Or is this nat gas? Is this a play on nat gas? I'm not sure. Nova Gold. What is this? Non-energy minerals, precious metals. Okay. So mining stock. This should do well. This should do well because the demand for goods is picking up. And this looks like it's a resource and materials company. And if there's demand for building real estate, there's going to be demand for all the materials. So this should do well. NG. Definitely in an uptrend. I'd wait for it to reset though. It's a little over, it's 3 times it already came pretty much overbought. It overheated a couple times, right? So I'd wait for it to come back into the trend. Let's see. I'd wait for it to come back into the trend. See what it looks like on the weekly. Yeah, it looks like it bottomed for sure. You got some resistance around 450. Got some resistance around 450. Okay. I'd wait for it to get above that level. It'd be great if, and this is almost fully overheated. It probably has some more room to the upside before it comes down. I see you, Ray Hayes. Congressman HMC, Honda Motors Company. That's a tough one. Honda. Sure, it could go higher. It is trending up. It looks like it's reset though. It is starting to reset. It's not there yet. I'd wait. I'd stay a little more patient on Honda. Automobiles are always a tough industry, but if interest rates are coming down, this should always help their bottom line. It should increase their profitability to some degree. I think Ford also looks pretty well. Yeah, Ford looks better at the moment. It has a lot more momentum. Has some resistance up here, but I wouldn't be. I'm not the most interested in these names. Ford, Honda, Chevy. Me personally, I'd rather just go Tesla. A lot more potential there. But Honda definitely has some room to move to the upside. What up, Diggs? Apple. I think Apple needs to reset. I almost shorted Apple the other day. And Apple's in the NASDAQ. Yeah, Apple's overheated. Apple is overheated. You see, when it gets a little overheated, it might push one or two more times and then resets, right? It has to reset. So I think Apple's a little overdone. Where's the possible? Let's see where it can come down. If we do here, we're looking at Apple maybe come back to all-time highs, previous all-time highs around 200 into earnings season, but it is up a lot. I would wait for Apple to reset. It's a little overdone at the moment. Nvidia looks great. The RSI is over. Look at Nvidia's been overbought for a while, but it doesn't matter because the earnings picture is so ridiculous for Nvidia that you just got to play the technicals. And right now it is forming a very bullish flag pattern, right? Or wedge. You could just call this a wedge. As long as Nvidia holds this wedge and it starts to lift, I mean, it's probably gonna break out. Nvidia is almost down there yet. You can see last time Nvidia reset, it absolutely ripped. Best case scenario, it resets after earnings. Okay, resets after earnings, and the RSI comes back down and it starts to reaccelerate. But you definitely want to see it start to reaccelerate again. You just have the tariffs in the way at the moment. You have the potential for tariffs. This hasn't happened yet. The market is just anticipating, hey, if we get tariffs, it's going to hurt the chip demand. Also, the cycle's almost over. So I'm not too sure about NVIDIA. I cannot predict NVIDIA very well. I've been wrong on it all year. I didn't know it was going to keep going this high. But technically, it is setting up. Also, you have MSCI. Okay, the good thing about MSCI, it is another chip maker. It's a lot smaller, and it's part of the small caps. It's getting moved out of the small caps, but it is trending up. And if IWM continues to move up or small caps continue to move higher, it's going to put a little bit on SMCI. Mitzi. I don't even know what this is. Is this a stock? Mitzi? Never seen this. What is this? Process industries, chemicals. Okay. Yeah, this has some momentum. It's in an uptrend. This looks good. I have no clue, the fundamentals of it, but it doesn't look bad. It is gaining momentum. But I'm not familiar with, the industry, so I'm not sure if it has a catalyst behind it. Okay. Now remember, the small caps are moving up higher. So let's take a look at some of the small caps. All right. So this is the small cap index. We got IWM here. This is what everybody's talking about. Basically, small caps are going going to rip back to all-time highs, whatever it is. Who knows? Who knows? They probably do. As long as the market expects interest rate cuts, small caps will likely move higher. But what are the names underneath small caps? KBH is one of those. I like it. It's a home builder. Okay, not for an investment in my view, but it is going to have some fuel. It is the catalyst here is lower interest rates and lower interest rates and just more stimulus to build more housing, right? That's why you have ITB up also. Elf Beauty, this is a consumer name. Now, I like Elf. Elf has been in a strong uptrend for a while. And when it rips lower, yes, it had a double top, but Elf Beauty, the cosmetics industry is always in a bull market. And I'd pay attention to this. It's almost fully reset. It almost reset. It's not there yet. We're going into earnings season. Maybe it needs to fill the gap down here, but I'll definitely look at Elf come down to this level. What are we looking at? 150, maybe 150, 160, somewhere around here. Yeah, I like Elf. Abercrombie and Fitch, also very strong uptrend, almost reset. Okay, a lot of these stocks are trying to reset going into earnings season. You got Hims and Hers needs to reset also, almost there. Wait for that momentum to pick up. It's not reset yet. Once it gets the momentum like this, it resets, and then the momentum starts to pick up. That's where the trend is going to be heading. As long as there's no exogenous shock in the market. What else we got here? Fix consolidating a lot. This is another small cap within the index. I have no clue what they do exactly. This is a industrial service, engineering, construction. It's been consolidating. The bigger the consolidation, the bigger the breakout. But I think you need to wait for earnings. Netflix. Let's see what Netflix looks like. I haven't even looked at Netflix. Netflix trying to reset. You're going to have to wait till earnings. Okay. I wouldn't go chasing Netflix yet. Maybe it comes back to the trend, resets. This is a perfect example, though. Netflix has a monopoly on the streaming industry. They're destroying everybody. So you want the reset. You want to buy the weakness on Netflix. You want to get in on the weakness on Netflix. You better pray that it sells off in earnings. It resets, right? Maybe not down here, but wait for the RSI to bounce and start to pick up. It's going to reset, and more than likely it's going higher. Right? I mean, this is a staple. This is pretty much a value stock almost to some degree because everybody has Netflix. Alpha is one of the picks of Fundstrat. Okay, nice. I didn't know that. Yeah, Elf is strong. I like Elf. I'm waiting for Elf to restart, to reset the RSI or the buying pressure. I'm waiting for the buying pressure to fully flesh out the weak hands and then get into that. Micron, right? Micron, somebody was shorting Micron. I would be a little careful here. The chip cycle is usually weak until October. There's an oversupply of chips, which is why I'm a little skittish about Nvidia. I mean, you never know about Nvidia, but I would just be careful with chips. There's an oversupply of chips, meaning their profits and revenues are going to come down. They're going to have to start repricing their chips lower. And at the same time, you have the tariffs. So I would be a little more cautious until you see this reset. If anything, maybe 110, somewhere around 110. But you want to wait for the RSI. You want to wait for momentum to pick up. You want to see it start to heat up again. Google. You said my chart setting might be wrong. I mean, I don't know. Everybody's chart settings are a little different. It's just how you interpret it. Anyways, what do you mean? What do you mean by wrong? Does your chart show something different? Oh, we just had Netflix. Okay, I see what you're saying. Just had Netflix earnings. All right, let's take a look at it. I'm not sure what Netflix earnings are. They're probably live. Did they beat? Let's take a look. I'll keep it right here. I'm gonna take a look at see if they beat earnings.
If they wanted to, but if they're trashy ads, if they don't really meet the for Netflix in really
earnings, it
Well, I think now broader and
is propagates a formally cooked.
had a big retrenchment. We obviously had a strike, which
Okay, so yeah, Netflix. Okay, they beat earnings. I'm looking to see guidance 9.7 billion. Guidance is a little low. That's why it sold off. Guidance lower than expected for Netflix. Guidance is a little lower for Netflix. They are doing a lot. Okay, so yeah, that's Netflix. Guidance was a little low. That's why it sold off initially. Google. Take a look at Google. Let's see what we got. Looks like it's in a zone. Yeah, anyways, for Netflix, I would still wait for the sell-off. I'm gonna tell you my personal opinion. I think big tech is going to rotate lower. And maybe catch a bid midway through earnings season. That's my initial thought. I could be 100% wrong, but I think there's a 50-50 chance, maybe 70% chance that a lot of big tech is just over-owned, over-concentrated, and there needs to be a little further of a flush before we move higher. And you can see they've been flushing out the past couple days. Where did the Qs go? See where that took the Qs after hours really quick. Okay, so the Q's starting to rebound in after hours slightly. I think financials were also a lot of the banks were moving up a lot. Maybe something you might want to take a look at if you want to take some risk is KRE. This index is I'd wait for it to reset, but the flow is 100% shorted, right? Huge short interest on, and it's already squeezing. It is squeezing already, but if there is no imminent threat to KRE, to commercial real estate, if it doesn't fall through, this thing probably rips back to all-time highs. But it's a little overdone at the moment. So we got banks, home builders, industrial stocks all moving higher, not tech, rotation into interest rate sensitive names. That's what we're seeing at the moment. Your QQQ50 calls got cooked. Yeah, the thing is the Qs, just really quick. I know some people are trying to get in the Qs really quick, but the Qs have been up for a while. When you see the RSI overcooked, this is overheating, right? When you see the RSI overheating twice, this is the daily chart and on the weekly chart, on the bigger time frame, same thing, right? You had it overheating 3 times, 1, 2, 3. You need a reset. You need a reset. More than likely, we're going to reset here. So I think that's why the Qs, you got to be patient with the Qs. They've just been over-owned, right? It's too much concentration at the moment. The Qs need a reset, and I think it's going to take a while. I think we don't bottom until August for the Qs, to be honest. Right? I'm looking at the anchored VWAP. We could come all the way down to this level. I'm waiting for 470, 467. Maybe we get a retest at 490 and then come down. But either way, the Qs need to cool off. The Qs definitely need to cool off for a while. They need some room, okay? Who else we got up here? We have, let me move this over. We got healthcare, biotech, insurance, industrials. So we could take a look at some industrial names. FedEx. Oh, yeah, FedEx. FedEx is weird. A little overcooked. Yeah, I'll check out AA. What is this? Alcoa. Okay, this is aluminum. This should start heating up. Alcoa is aluminum, I believe. And it is in an uptrend. This one looks good. I like this. I like this price action right here. Right? You're in it. You finally bottomed. We bottomed last October. It's been in a nice uptrend. The RSI is trying to reset. Let's look at the weekly really quick. Okay, it might have a little more room to consolidate. I think it needs to consolidate a little more, but it is a good setup. It's in an uptrend. It's bottomed. The macro economy is going to be moving higher. Look, when the Fed cuts rates, manufacturing moves up because it's all financed, right? Everything, the whole economy is financed. Everything is financing. If interest rates come down just a little bit, it's going to help the balance sheets out of a lot of these companies. They're going to be able to expand, and it trickles down. It trickles down into every industry. Just got to find the right technicals, because the technicals tell you how much, and, the fundamentals are important. Don't get me wrong, but the technicals aligning with the fundamentals is what you want, right? So Alcoa looks good, starting to bid up. I know this is a big company. I don't know what the earnings look like or the expectations, but the stock has bottomed and the stock is moving higher. Just stay patient. I like that one. I'm going to add that. Let's add it on here. Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin. Definitely like Bitcoin. Bitcoin overheated, of course, back here, still trying to reset. Now, this is the weekly. Crypto's different though. Crypto's a lot different. It does reset, but it's a lot less predictive when it comes to the stock market. It's starting to roll off liquidity. Bitcoin wants to see more liquidity. Okay, not just interest rates, but lower liquidity. I'll tell you the best proxy for Bitcoin is the US dollar. Okay, the US dollar. So Bitcoin is consolidating, maybe has one more low, catches a bid here, who knows? But you want to see DXY really start to break down. Okay, when the dollar breaks below this level and starts to just trend, and the dollar is going to break lower because it's, traders are anticipating debasement of currency. We're anticipating the Fed cut rates, meaning more liquidity, more loans. The more loans that start to come into the market, the more the dollar is worth less. When you lower interest rates, you lower the earned interest on the dollar. Gold. Gold and Tesla. Okay, hold on. Gold. Let's see. Gold. What is the gold ticker? I don't even know what the gold ticker is. Look at gold futures. Okay, gold futures. This is not gold. The only thing about gold, it's a $10 trillion asset. It's a $10 trillion asset. So it takes a lot to move gold. If you're looking like day trading, I think gold creeps higher. Okay. So it depends on your time frame for gold. Most people are trading Forex. In the short term, it looks like it is close to bottoming out. Looks like it's close to bottoming out. The weaker the economy in the future, unemployment goes lower, rates come lower. Gold should be moving higher with as the Fed cuts rates. Gold should move higher. It's a lot like Bitcoin. See, gold and Bitcoin look very similar. Bitcoin's just a faster horse. That's gold, that's Bitcoin. Oh, this is futures. Looks a little different. Okay, Tesla. He said Tesla. Tesla's going to come down to earnings. Yeah, Tesla has a nice wedge pattern here, starting to It is starting to wedge, but I think Tesla has more downside. I think Tesla has more downside. I think Tesla needs to consolidate a little longer. Okay, it's forming a wedge, but Tesla's tricky. A lot of times it'll break down and move higher. Most of the time, Tesla after earnings breaks down. It already had a monster move. I mean, it gained what, 300 billion in market cap. So personally, I think Tesla it's going to consolidate. Look how long it consolidated back here when it had the move after earnings. Moved up, okay, consolidated for about 2.5 months. So now we moved up. We're going to have earnings. We might just be consolidating sideways. And on the 8th, this is going to be this. Oh, they moved the date. That's right. They moved the date. I'm not too bullish on Tesla at the moment. I was bullish down here. We talked about Tesla. Stay patient, stay patient. Reverse head and shoulders, broke out of the trend, exploded, but now it's time to reset. Tesla needs to reset a little longer. There's no catalyst yet. Interest rates, maybe September interest rates will push up Tesla. Tesla to 170. 170 would take Tesla, let me see, down here. It's possible. It is possible. It is possible that Tesla comes down to 170. Definitely possible. The only thing is with a September rate cut, I don't think Tesla moves lower on a rate cut because the business is so sensitive to financing, right? Automotive, auto loan financing, and the cost of the cars coming down. Once those margins are going to move up, as soon as the Fed cuts rates, Tesla margins automatically are higher. And I don't know if it goes down to 170 in that time frame, but it will definitely come down. It probably comes down to 220, 210. Does it make a move higher? I don't know. I think we need rate cuts. Meta. I like Meta. Talked about this earlier. Meta's pretty much reset. Okay. It might have a little more consolidation, but Meta has not really overextended yet. Meta looks a lot. Let me get rid of this. Yeah, I don't think Meta is fully reset yet, but it looks good. Oh, what'd you say? Myron? Let me see. I don't see what you said. Apollo, please. Let me see. Make sure I check Tesla. Okay, we looked at Tesla. Oh yeah, Tesla will go back to 400. Tesla's gonna go up for sure. I think the biggest play is Bitcoin though. Just so you guys know, let me see if I have it on here. Do I have it on here? Here, I'll speak it through for Bitcoin, BTC, USD. All right. So when it comes to Bitcoin, I think we're near the bottom here. Okay, we're near the bottom on Bitcoin. Very strong uptrend. I'm going to turn on the halvening event. So what happens with Bitcoin is after about 5 months, five months post halvening is when Bitcoin really starts to move. Okay, let me throw on the monthly so you kind of see it a little better. All right, so if we go back to that last halvening, you had the halvening event. 1, 2, 3. Can you guys see it? 1, 2, 3, 4 started to move. 5, it explodes. So month 5 is going to be September for us. September, somewhere around September, the miners capitulate and they stop selling. They stop selling their Bitcoins, right? If we go back to the last cycle, it had the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. It kind of moved on 4 months, which would be October. And that's pretty much the cycle. This one was crazy, right? So where are we at today? We are month 2. We're in month 2. Had the halvening 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would say October, right? I mean, it did get a little overextended, but we're consolidating at all-time highs. Bitcoin is consolidating at all-time highs. Very bullish. Very, very bullish. Now, this doesn't just go for Bitcoin. We're talking altcoins. We're talking Ethereum, right? I think altcoins will outperform absolutely everything when the time comes. Ethereum, same thing. Ethereum's probably going to move. Let's see, did it move? I think Ethereum blasted off before Bitcoin last time. Ethereum looks good. And then my favorite Chainlink, still waiting. I know it's been a while. I know it's frustrating, but I'm still very bullish on Chainlink. Okay, very strong pattern there, starting to reset. It's starting to heat up. We just need it to flush through. Take a look at what, Engine Coin? Is that what it is? Engine Coin? That looks good. Pretty strong here. All right, let me turn this off. All right, and inflation is coming down, right? So a lot of people are kind of worried about inflation, but see if I can show you guys really quick. All right, so here's what we're looking at. Inflation is dumping. This is the real catalyst here. We need inflation to dump, continue to dump, and that's going to come down to oil prices. Consumers are already slowing down, and the Fed is now getting ready to cut rates. Okay, September is the month, and unemployment is still climbing. Once we get to 4.2, we're at 4.1%. Once we get to 4.2 for unemployment, the Fed, it's going to trigger the Fed. They have to cut. The Fed has to cut. All right. Now people say, hey, we're heading into a deep recession. Well, here is GDP at the moment. Let's turn this into a column. Let's just make it blue. Oh, that doesn't look very good. It's hard to see. It's hard to see this. I have it on YouTube, but GDP slowing down. You can see it cooling a little bit, right? We're at like 1.4, but we did have GDP now today. So if you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see this on YouTube. No, that's not it. Where is it? Atlanta Fed GDP. Oh, okay. I'll show you right here. So Atlanta Fed GDP tracks the weekly. It tracks consumption, total growth. Oh, I don't have it on here. Let me switch you guys on YouTube really quick. GDP now is picking back up. And this is a big move for GDP now. So growth expectations are still going higher. GDP now was, zoom in there, it was at 1.55. That's our last reading for Q2. But now we're up at 273. It's a big jump for GDP, right? Pretty big jump. Now, also, oh, this is just the Fed cutting rates. So GDP is heading up, and this can always change, but for now it's heading up. And we have this backed by industrial production. Industrial production is also starting to increase. U.S. industrial. Let's see if we can get it. Here it is. All right, so U.S. industrial production is also picking up. This tells us that the demand for goods is accelerating. So the manufacturing economy is starting to pick up. Why is that important? Well, I mean, the business cycle. Okay, the cycle of earnings is actually accelerating at the moment. And we have that while inflation is coming down and the Fed has room to cut rates 6 times, but they're only going to cut once or twice this year, more than likely. And that's going to be a monster rally. So I would wait for the Qs to come down. Tech is always going to go higher. Technology is going to go higher because AI is the theme that increases production capacity when it comes to services mostly. And you just want it to reset. TSM on my screen showing 2.5 relative volume today. Oh yeah, TSM got smacked. TSMC got smacked pretty hard. I think these are all going to reset though. So we'll take a look at the chip sector. Let's see what we got for chips. So we got cybersecurity. We got chips also. This is cyber. Let's go to chips. All right, what do we got for chips? Okay, here's NVIDIA. RSI needs room to reset. Okay, but you never know with NVIDIA. NVIDIA could just explode at any moment. Let's go to SMC. SMCI, right? Or not SMCI. Is it SMCI? Super microcomputer, whatever. Still going higher, but I would be careful with chips. I want to see a bigger flush. Qualcomm looks pretty good also. I like this down action. Look, these names are only going to go up over time, but they might have a rest for a couple months. That's my anticipation. They have a rest for a couple months. AMD. Man, AMD has been wild lately. I still like AMD for a longer term play, but a lot of fears for AMD. So chips at the moment, I'm not a fan of chips right now. I think they need further time to reset. See what ARM looks like. ARM. They all need time to reset. MU, same thing. Marvel. This one looks a little better though. Where do you see NASDAQ index in the next 5 years? Oh, NASDAQ way higher. I think I see NASDAQ a lot higher. NASDAQ's probably going to have a bubble in the next 5 years. Yeah, I see NASDAQ way higher. So we're waiting for the reset. We're just waiting for the reset. I don't know how low it goes. Maybe 49. But next 5 years, I don't know what I would say on NASDAQ. I really don't know the numbers. But I would say the Qs are going to be at 1,000, somewhere around 1,000 in the next 5 years. I mean, who knows? Who knows exactly? And you're basically betting on Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Tesla, Microsoft, Netflix, and whoever else is in the index. So Qs will be a lot higher for sure. Avgo. Yeah, all those names need a reset. Avgo, same thing. Which is not Avgo, but it's oops. What is it? Broadcom. There we go. Broadcom. Same thing. Needs to reset a little bit, right? I think cybersecurity might bid higher before so. Big data. We talked about Palantir. This thing has been ripping like crazy. Okay, it's overheated. We're going into earnings. I think it might have another blast higher before it comes down. But Palantir was one of the calls that we were talking about. ADP processing, whatever. CrowdStrike. I would look at CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is almost reset. This is probably the number one hottest cybersecurity play. Okay, still trending up, and the RSI is almost fully reset. Okay, you're going to need a lot more of this going forward. The demand for this, the demand for cybersecurity is going nowhere anytime soon. Give me a number, 30K. I don't know, Veronica. I don't know. I have no clue. I'll give you a Bitcoin number. In 5 years, Bitcoin, let's say north of 500K for Bitcoin. But I don't know NASDAQ. I really don't. Because it's an index, so I don't know. Zscaler needs time to reset. Team. These are all cybersecurity plays. Okta. Okta has a clear support here, but I don't know. We'll see. Oracle. Reset. A lot of these tech needs to reset. I'm telling you. I almost went short on Adobe, but the options were not so good. MedP. What is this? Healthcare? This is commercial services. I don't know what this is. No clue. It looks weird. It looks kind of weird because of the price action. Price action looks kind of weird. I don't know. It's bearish divergence on the weekly. I don't like it personally. I don't like the price action. I don't know what they do though either, so I can't really say. NVS. Novartis? What is this? Healthcare? This is health technology. Okay. This one looks good. This one looks a little better. Clear support resistance. You got clear levels basically. This one has pretty clear levels, bounced off that level. I'm always a little skeptical of biotechs. Oh yeah, CrowdStrike and ZS. Yep. Yeah, CrowdStrike ZS pretty good. Snow trying to reset here. I think they had a data breach, so who knows how bad it'll be. I don't think it's going to disappear. It just needs to reset. I'm not a fan of Snow. Now this has been consolidating for a long time. I think this mostly has Cathie Wood pressure on it. She owns so much Twilio and her index is getting crushed. So I like it, but it's all about, Cathie Wood. Huma penny stock. Let's see. Huma. This is a healthcare biotech. I'm not a fan of biotechs. I'm not a fan of biotechs, but if you take a little bit of risk, I mean, you might get lucky. With regulation coming, I don't have an edge with biotechs. There could be some regulation coming in that helps this names out. I know healthcare is doing good, but biotechs, the problem is that they can just gap down at any moment. It's hard to track what is good, what is not. We're not scientists, so it's really hard to track these, but the technicals look good. The technicals look good for Huma or what is it? Humacyte. Technicals look pretty good. As long as it holds 460, I like it. Race car company probably does good with interest rates coming down. I think it's a little overheated. It looks like it needs to cool. Ferrari. I think Ferrari needs to cool for a while. But it looks straight. Just needs to cool off. You see the RSI is starting to give out. I think the momentum is gone. And when I say it needs to cool off, the momentum pretty much played out. This might have some more room, but for now, I think it needs to cool off. What would a reset look like for TSM? Okay, I see TSM. All right, so for TSM, what would a reset look like? Let's check the current trend that it's on. TSMC. I think TSMC, I don't know. It might have some downside room, maybe to 150, maybe even lower. All right, here we go. So let me take this off. I'm going to look at the moving averages. TSM is still in a momentum phase. So it's holding the 10-week moving average. This is the 10-week moving average. We're holding the 10-week moving average, but I would have to say that it's a little overdone, and in general, chips need to cool off. I could be wrong, right? This thing might blow up tomorrow, but I don't have an edge when it comes to that. I think technically it needs to cool off, and that cooling might be somewhere around 145. Let's say 145. And you really want to see where the RSI is at. I mean, it would be great if it ever came, and reset completely. I don't know if you're going to get that, right? I don't think you're going to get that full reset. Which you could do, go to the daily chart. It's more likely it resets on the daily just because the sector's so hot. So maybe you wait for this RSI in the daily chart to come back down, and TSM will look good again. So yeah, maybe 140, 145 to 160, 150. Oh, RTX. I was looking at RTX. Now RTX it just had a reset. This thing is climbing. Is this is Raytheon? Yeah, this might be a good play. Let me see. Yeah, because Raytheon is pushing all-time highs. It's pushing all-time highs. It's holding that level, so it doesn't look bad. It wouldn't be my favorite pick personally. Is there room for weapons to grow now that the wars are kind of cooling off? Me initially, I would say no, because the wars kind of played out. It's not over, but with Trump coming into office, right? Just as the market is pricing that in. I'm not saying he's going to win, but the market is pricing in a Trump victory, and he's going to reduce the amount of weapons built. He's probably going to reduce these contracts. So I wouldn't say this is going to be a good play going forward just because of the fundamentals of it. Technically, it looks okay. Not my favorite personally. All right, what did you say? Check Hilly, Hele. What do we got here? Oh man, you're trying to catch a falling knife? It's in a downtrend. This is consumer durables, home furnishing. Look at home builders right now are in an uptrend. So when I see a home builder that has, when there's a catalyst in this sector and it's still getting dumped, something's wrong with the earnings. They're not being able to compete. They might have overproduced. They have to lower prices. It might be bottoming out. I mean, it could be bottoming. This is a big drop. So I hope you know the fundamentals of the company. Let me see what the daily. I bet you the daily's starting to bounce a little bit. It's extremely oversold, but that gap was so huge. My guess is this is going to take a while. So, hey, if you believe in it, go for it. I don't know. It should be moving higher. It shouldn't be dropping like this in a hot sector. Something's up with the stock or the company. Oh, DJT. Okay, DJT. This might be a good play on a Trump victory. It's probably going to happen beforehand. Let's go to the weekly. I already looked at MedP. What else we got? QQQ, JCI. UNH back above 50. Chips need to cool off. Yeah, I think chips need to cool off. Like probabilistic wise, yeah. Let's see. This is recent. I mean, this thing might blow up. I don't really know. It's sloppy. It's not a good company. I'll tell you that. This is not a good company, but it could just be like a meme stock. I think it might turn into a meme stock. So it could be just a play on risk. On I don't even know if it goes higher on interest rates. Probably. It's a meme stock. Has a pretty good pattern there. HLNE. All right, what do we got here? This is, I have no clue what they do. Finance investment. I mean, it's pretty bullish. It's pretty bullish. It's probably going to just trend higher, but let me see. Let's see the daily. It's a little overbought though. It needs to cool off. I think it needs to cool off a little bit. If you already own it, it's one thing, but if you're trying to look for an entry, you just don't want to buy something when it's overheated, right? You want to wait till it starts to cool and it shows signs of consolidation and it shows signs of reheating. So I think it's overheating. We got QQQ. Yeah, Qs. The Qs are pretty oversold in the short term. They're pretty oversold in the short term. That was a pretty steep drop over the last couple days. So, I mean, I'm bullish on the Qs going into tomorrow. I think the Qs will come retest 485, 486. But we're still like somewhere around here. I think we're going to test that. We could come back and test 490 over the next 2 or 3 days. But if we can't get above 490, I think the Qs are just going to dump. My guess initially, okay, I don't know, But if I had to take a guess on the probability of things, I think tech has further room to sell off. So I think NASDAQ is going to try to move higher, and then I think it's going to roll over again. That's my guess. I just looked at TSM. MO. What is this? Like agriculture? Consumer non-durable tobacco. I knew it. Agriculture. Altria. Oh, Altria. Okay. Yeah, this has a bid. Altria has a bid for sure, especially with all the Zins and all the tobacco and nicotine stuff. It's starting to heat up on the chart. I mean, it's in the short term, it's overdone. Okay. Look at the RSI. When you have the RSI overdone 3 times in a row, the stock needs to cool. Right here, you had a cooling effect and it started to turn up. So right here was probably a good spot, which was what, 45. I think the trend probably holds higher, but a lot of resistance here. As long as it cools off, if this RSI starts to reset and holds the level like 46, 47, I think it's good. Nvidia, I don't know. It's so hard to call Nvidia. I'd have to say for Nvidia, Nvidia broke down a lot, so it could be done selling off. It's forming a big wedge, so it could be done selling off for Nvidia. It depends if you're trying to own it or if you're trying to trade it. Really just depends. If you're talking next week, well, Nvidia is trying to break higher. It looks like it. Yeah, Nvidia looks like it's going to go higher, like in the short term, because they don't have earnings for a while. It's probably going to come retest 128, 130. But I don't know. I really don't know. Looks like it's going to hold. Looks like Nvidia will hold. I'll go over one more time. We're already at 130. I'm going to go over one more time the names I'm looking at. There's a lot more short names than long, to be honest, at this moment. You're welcome, Brian. Let's go. All right. So Walmart, I'm short. I'm short Walmart. It's showing a lot of bearish divergence. So I'm short Walmart. I'm just looking at the technicals. It's been up a lot. I probably should do a little more research on it, but I'm going to go short Walmart. I just think it's up too much. And then Meta, I like Meta. It's almost fully reset. This is going nowhere. Meta is a cash cow, so it's pretty much reset. And I think it blew off top a little bit. We'll see. I like Meta. I think it's a wait and see for Meta though. We got to wait and see a little longer. Caterpillar, I'm still bullish on Caterpillar. This is probably my favorite industrial play on growth. We have industrial production picking up. That means the production of goods, building houses. Caterpillar is like the #1 construction company. And I like the trend. It broke out of this wedge. It is overheating at the moment. It can stay up here for a while, but I want to see some more consolidation. Big sell off today. You got Deere, staying patient with Deere Company. I just think there's going to be a big flood into industrial stocks. I think industrials are going to go higher. Talk about energy. I like ConocoPhillips. Okay, you can see the RSI is turning up. Oop, my bad. Got the camera sideways. It's starting to turn up. It probably has a lot more room to go up here. Your resonance, what up? Not done yet. I'm still taking my time on it right now, working on how the banking system works. It's almost done. Okay, I don't want to put a time frame. I don't know when it's going to be done. It's going to be a course. It'll be video and quizzes on the course. Video quizzes teaching you how to read macro. We'll have some technical stuff on there, but for now, I'm not done yet, unfortunately. Still working on it. Let's see. We got Freeport Mac. This is a play on copper. Copper is, I think, back into a bull trend. It's a commodity. So waiting on this one to reset. It's almost reset. It's almost done. Maybe it has a little more downtime. I want to wait for earnings to be done also for a lot of these names. You just don't know what's going to happen with earnings. So once earnings are pretty much over, we'll get a sense of the direction of the market. We'll get a sense of what's going to go higher, what sectors. There's always a bull market somewhere. But keep your eye on this. Keep your eye on here. It's almost reset fully. Constellation Energy Utilities Company. I think their earnings are going to crush. Pure energy play on electricity. This is a play on electricity. Let's see what else we got. IWM, obviously. I'm bullish on TLT. I'm bullish on bonds just because the Fed's going to cut in September. And I think when bonds break out, they break out. And the slower the economy goes, the higher bonds go, U.S. Treasury bonds. The 2-year goes higher, but there's no exposure to the 2-year. There's not really good exposure. There's not a good product for it. So TLT is probably your best product on rates. Definitely like Amazon. I think Amazon's going to crush it. But, ooh, look at that flat top. That is a flat top right there. Yeah, they just didn't want that to go lower. So I'd go long Amazon. I'd probably go long Amazon, a contract into like October, maybe August, September, maybe end of August. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how big tech earnings come out. The stock split of Nvidia cooled it off. Yeah. Nvidia it's wild. It just goes up a lot. So you got to be patient. Robinhood looks good. A lot of the regional banks look pretty good. I think Robinhood, I think a lot of these really just need time. A lot of these need time, in my view. I'm trying to think what I'm bullet the most. I think this is the only stock that I see like in the short term that's making higher highs and could be a nice trade. It's breaking above resistance. It has momentum. I think it has some more room for momentum. Where the other names they're still trying to reset. Are you mainly trading options? At the moment, yes, I'm trading options at the moment. I'm also building some content on credit spreads and debit spreads, how to basically how to make bigger trades with the, risking a little bit, not risking too much. Working on that too. And I've never really traded butterflies. I'm, experimenting with those. We'll see. But yeah, I'm trading options. Aren't you dividing it into different books, one in macroeconomics and one? Yeah. Your resonance. I'm not fully sure how I'm going to divide it, but the macro is almost done. The macroeconomics is almost done. It's going to be building a macroeconomic framework, central banks, the flow of money, interest rates, liquidity, how to read the business cycle, all that stuff, what it means, what's a bull market, bear market. There's a lot of concepts out there that are just not very clear. And then the strategy comes next. And then there's the strategy. So macroeconomic, the macro strategy is almost done. Technicals, it won't take as long. Technicals is not going to take as long. Trading book, how far are you on that? The trading book, I'm not making a trading book, mostly trading. It'll be like video format. It'll be a video. But yeah, reading right now, it's all about macro, right? It's all about inflation. If you guys have been on here, a lot of people have told you we're going into a deep recession. Inflation is going higher. It was all wrong because a lot of people don't know how to read the business cycle. They just listen to people fear monger and it just never played out. So I'm going to try to provide some education to read it correctly. I'm never right all the time, but if you stayed up to the content, we've called all the bull markets. Okay, summertime rally was the last thing we called, and we had a summertime rally. And I think it's time to cool off. I think it's time to cool off a little bit into earnings. I expect markets to come down a little further. Okay, and then once we bounce, we're going to start reaccelerating again, unless there's a black swan. Trump is it's very bullish for crypto anyways, for Trump to come in because He's pro crypto. He's going to speak at the Bitcoin conference. He's going to be speaking at the Bitcoin conference. And if they unleash pro regulation for crypto, that's very bullish. And we're heading into the supply shock where price just goes higher. And you're heading into lower interest rates, price goes higher. And you're heading into more liquidity, price goes higher. So I think still crypto is going to be a monster trade. It's been on hold for a while, but I think it's going to be the monster trade. Rivian. This will be the last one. What is it? There we go. Rivian. Running at okay, Rivian's I never liked the price action on Rivian, but they have a lot of investment now. Yeah, Rivian, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how Rivian does. This is weak. Let's go to the daily. I think it's going to be a tough space long term for Rivian. I think it'll be tough. Like earnings come out, Rivian might just get dumped again. I wouldn't be long Rivian. Technicals don't look great to me at the moment. You want to see Rivian reset. There's a clear spot down here that Rivian can come down to. Right? Maybe it comes down during earnings season, but you just never know with Rivian and earnings. These companies with earnings are very tricky. You need rate cuts. You need rate cuts for sure because they're not profitable. They're losing a lot of money. I just don't think the stock market will pick up until October. Just looked at historical seasonality. Usually October is a low. Yeah, usually you might get one more upswing, and then October is usually the low historically. We are in an election cycle, so it could be a little different. But yeah, you're right. October is usually the bottom. We could sell off early, like usually March is the low, but this time around it was April. So maybe the bottom is September, or maybe it's, who knows, but I think November things are going to rip in November for sure. Just like they did in 2016. Broadcom. I think Broadcom, we talked about that. Broadcom needs to cool off in my view. I think a lot of the chips are going to hit a deflationary cycle. And I think they're going to cool off a little bit. There's a lot of production of chips. And eventually there's too much supply. Prices come down, profits come down. Let's see. Crypto. I think you're getting some altcoins starting to move a little bit. Let's see, where's Solana? Yeah, crypto is gearing up to blow. I think crypto's gearing to blow up. TSM, we went over TSM. TSM also, I think the chip sector needs to cool off a little bit. We just went over the technical, so I don't want to do it again. But whenever TSM looks good, when they start to look good, we'll go over it for sure. I just don't think they look that great. Maybe in a couple weeks. Maybe in a couple weeks, we'll see. Because we're about to enter big mega cap earnings, and that's going to change a lot of stuff. A lot of these things are going to change. But this is Solana, and it looks like a monster. I mean, this is a perfect pattern right here. All right? Very strong pattern. Now, I like Chainlink better, but I mean, I'm all in on Chainlink, but just to show you a really good pattern, Solana is right here. This is very bullish. Same thing with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Maybe you get one more dip, and you never know. But I think the next move for Bitcoin is going to be around 85,000. That's my guess. Yosemite, Tesla. Yeah, Tesla also, you got to wait till after earnings for Tesla. Tesla's going to have earnings. A lot of times it does sell off after a big move. It'll sell off like 10%. And it looks good, but it'll sell off 10%. And then because there's a lot of options volume in there. And then we'll see where the bottom's at. But Tesla is in the short term, I think it's going to sell off. I think it sells off into earnings. We'll see. I'm not bullish on Tesla in the short term. Long term, I'm bullish on Tesla. We're now above the big level. And if Tesla can follow through with what they're trying to do, I think it quickly moves back to all-time highs. I think it's going to be a quick move to all-time highs. If, Cybertruck revenues look pretty good, if their production process picks up again, China's coming back online, China's about to start stimulating. So I think the second half looks good. I think we need a bigger correction before we move higher. That's my view. All right. Well, I'm all out of time. I appreciate you guys watching. Stay blessed. Keep on learning. Keep on learning as much as you can. Subscribe to the newsletter if you are interested. Every 2 weeks, every month, I'll come out with something to, keep you on top. I am working on a course, macroeconomic course. If you're a beginner, you want to know how to read macro or understand macroeconomics, money supply, all that stuff. And just stay tuned. We'll keep on creating more content. I'm in the middle of building a course though, where you can read the fundamentals, the macro and the technicals. I don't know many people who do all that, so it is taking me some time, but it is educational. JD and Baba, I haven't looked at those. Let me look really quick. Let's see. Baba. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not a fan of Chinese stocks, but I do know that China will start increasing liquidity pretty soon here. They're going to start pumping again. They're going to start debasing their currency. They're probably going to buy US treasuries. I think the US treasury is trying to make a deal with China to start buying back more treasuries. I think that's what's happening. So we'll see. We'll see, but I wouldn't be too optimistic about Chinese stocks at the moment. China is a tough place. It's not a free market. He said BYD is better than Tesla. Let's see what BYD look. I think this is not BYD, is it? Is this BYD? I don't know. That doesn't look right. I don't think that's what you're talking about. Why did that pop up? Maybe I clicked the wrong one. Here we go. All right, here's what he's talking about, BYD. Yeah, I mean, I think Tesla's the best automotive electric vehicle. That's my view. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's definitely BYD's going to be up there. It's going to move. I still like Tesla better. Oh, Disney. That's a good one. We haven't looked at Disney. I'm not a fan of Disney. I'm not a fan of Disney. It might be a good play though. It's trying to bottom out here. I think it'll come back at some point. Couple more comments and then I'm out of here. Any crypto besides Chainlink that you like? I mean, Solana, I wouldn't invest in them because crypto is a crazy space, but Solana technically looks really good. I like Aave. I do like Aave. Oh, you can't even see it on here. I do like Aave. This is a lending borrowing protocol. Banks will probably plug into it at some point, maybe in 2025. We're getting a lot of crypto regulation. I don't like XRP at all. I think it's done. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, Solana, Aave. I'm sure there's a lot more out there, but it's a tricky space. All right, I'm out of here. We've been on here for about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. You guys stay blessed. As always, lift weights, eat healthy, improve as best as you can, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for joining.